He stood at the edge of his own life, a man who had never said no, only to find that no one truly knew his name. He was the perfect neighbour, the loyal employee, the nice guy. Yet as the shadows lengthened, he realised he wasn't virtuous, he was merely invisible. If a man has no capacity for teeth, is his gentleness a choice or a cage? The answer lies in hidden darkness. Throughout history, many philosophers observed that true virtue requires the capacity for destruction. Carl Jung suggested that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. To be nice is often a mask for a shadow left in the dark. I am James, and this is Shadow Philosophy. Today we explore the disturbing reality of the nice man and the psychological necessity of becoming dangerous. The toothless lion. In the modern workplace, a pattern repeatedly emerges. We see the man who arrives first and leaves last, the one who never pushes back against a demanding superior or a credit-stealing colleague. He believes he is building a reservoir of goodwill, a moral bank account that will one day pay out in status and security. But history noted a different outcome. Patterns suggest that this man is not respected, he is merely utilised. This is the relatable tragedy of the modern professional. The fear of irrelevance drives a desperate need for agreeableness. You seek validation through compliance, believing that if you are nice enough, the system will eventually reward you. But many philosophers observed that the world does not reward the harmless, it rewards the potential who choose to be peaceful. There is a disturbing realization here. If you are incapable of conflict, your peace is a lie. It is not a virtue to be a sheep when you have no choice but to be one. The common enemy is a shallow social conditioning that conflates niceness with goodness. This destructive belief system tells you to stay low, to avoid the monster within, and to curate a digital identity that offends no one. But in doing so, you lose your edge. You become a shadow without a form. The AHA moment occurs when you realize that your lack of boundaries is not kindness, it is a lack of self. And history has shown that those who cannot say no eventually have a yes that carries no weight. In corporate environments, this dynamic is exacerbated by the fear of being perceived as difficult. The nice man believes that his compliance is a strategic advantage. He thinks that by being the most agreeable person, he will naturally rise to the top. Instead, he finds himself passed over for promotions in favour of those who are willing to assert themselves, even if they are less capable. He becomes the invisible foundation upon which others build their reputations. He is quiet support for louder ambitions, and because he never demands anything, he never receives anything in return. The shadow of resentment. In the realm of modern dating dynamics and personal relationships, the nice man faces a different, more somber pattern. He wonders why his self-sacrifice is met with boredom, or why his constant emotional validation is met with distance. He believes he is being the perfect partner, yet he feels a growing, cold isolation. Many philosophers observed that attraction and respect are not built on compliance, but on the presence of a distinct, sometimes formidable individual identity. The paradox of the nice man is that he is often the most deceptive person in the room. Because he is too afraid to speak his truth or express his needs, he resorts to subtle manipulation. He uses his niceness as a currency, expecting a specific return on his investment. When the world doesn't pay up, a disturbing realization emerges that the nice guy is often a vessel for deep, suppressed resentment. His kindness is a contract that the other person never signed. Carl Jung called this the unlived life. By suppressing the shadow, the parts of us that are aggressive, ambitious and selfish, we do not eliminate those traits. We merely drive them underground, where they fester into passive aggression. This is the common enemy of modern intimacy. The fear of being seen as difficult leads to a profoundly shallow life. Most people never saw it, but the nice man's silence is often a scream of suppressed power, and the pattern returned. The more he hid his shadow, the more it controlled him. This resentment manifests in strange ways. The nice man becomes prone to outbursts of uncharacteristic anger, or he becomes deeply cynical, viewing the world as inherently unfair because his goodness wasn't rewarded. He begins to harbour a quiet contempt for those who are willing to express their desires and take what they want. He calls them selfish, but beneath the contempt is profound jealousy. He is envious of their ability to exist, fully in the world, unburdened by the need to be everything to everyone. The architecture of ambition. Status obsession in the digital age has created a new kind of pressure, the pressure to be liked by a faceless collective. We curate our lives to fit a corporate, influenced mould of the ideal citizen. We avoid the sharp corners of philosophy and the uncomfortable truths of psychology because they might disrupt our social standing. Throughout history, however, the most influential figures were rarely nice. They were often abrasive, intensely focused, and possessed a dark ambition that pushed them toward greatness. Many philosophers observed that ambition requires a certain degree of ruthlessness, not toward others, but toward one's own weaknesses. The nice man is weak because his ambition is secondary to his need for social safety. He is terrified of being the villain in someone else's story. But the disturbing truth is that if you do not define your own boundaries, someone else will define them for you. Think of the shadow not as a flaw, but as a fuel source. It is the raw energy of desire, the sharp edge of intellect, and the iron core of willpower. When you integrate this, you stop being a passive observer of your own life and start being its architect. You realize that your ambition is not something to be managed or minimized, it is something to be wielded. To integrate the shadow, one must begin by examining the areas of their life where they are most compliant. Where do you say yes when you mean no? Where do you withhold your true opinion to avoid friction? These are the points of integration. Each instance of unexpressed truth is a piece of your shadow left in the dark. By bringing these truths into the light, by asserting your boundaries, even when it causes discomfort, you reclaim your own power. This is the process of building the dangerous man, one grounded, not fantasy. The integration of the monster. The path toward true strength is not to kill the monster within, but to train it. This is the ultimate paradox of the human condition. You cannot be truly virtuous if you are harmless. A harmless man is not good. He is incapable of being otherwise. True virtue is the deliberate choice to act with kindness and restraint, knowing that you possess the capacity to be destructive if pushed. This is the integration of the Jungian shadow. It is the moment you look at your own capacity for aggression, for selfishness, and for cold, hard realism, and you say, I own this. This is the ultimate Ache moment for any man. Once you acknowledge your own darkness, you no longer fear it in others. You are no longer manipulated by the niceness of the world because you can see through it. You become the dangerous man who chooses to be kind. This creates a magnetic, powerful, and authentic presence that demands respect. You stop apologizing for your existence. You stop seeking permission to be ambitious. You start living from a position of integrated power where your boundaries are clear, your intentions are focused, and your nice is no longer a currency, but a calculated choice. This integration allows for a profound shift in relationships. When you stop requiring external validation, you become more attractive. People are naturally drawn to those who are complete, those who have faced their own shadow and have chosen a path of integrated strength. You become someone whose boundaries are respected, not because you demanded it, but because your demeanor suggests they are non-negotiable. This is the essence of the unbreakable man. The world is a harsh teacher, and it does not give mercy to the soft. You have spent too long creating an image that no one respects. Now the shadow calls. It asks you to integrate what you have buried, to acknowledge the predator within, and to build a life on your own terms. I am James, and this is Shadow Philosophy. If you are still watching, the shadow has already won.